Hey everyone, happy Wednesday. Welcome to Crypto Live with Bitcoin Bravado. I'm the Bitcoin Broski here today with Kyle, BTC Jack Sparrow, and our special guest, Random Task at Random Task 555 on Twitter for those of you who don't already follow him. But guys, welcome. Welcome. How's your Wednesday going?
Great Wednesday. How are you guys doing?
Good so far. Yeah, rainy day down here in Toronto.
Yeah, rainy day here too.
God, it's 90 and sunny here in South Florida. So,
jealous of all the guys at World Crypto Town right now.
Oh man, how about it? It's I'm excited to see all of the videos and photos to get posted here in the next couple of days. So that's the real FOMO right there.
True.
So I know we've got an action-packed show. Before we kick things off, I want to give our normal disclaimer. Obviously, none of us are financial advisors. None of what we're saying should be taken as financial advice. We are here for informational and educational purposes. Hopefully, you are here to have some fun with us. So just wanted to get that out of the way. Special welcome to Random Task. Random Task RT is a new Bravado analyst, Bitcoin Bravado analyst, and he is. He's got some great experience in the space. He's been sharing some absolute great plays over the past few months. So welcome, man. We're happy to have you on the show.
Thank you. Yeah, happy to be here and thrilled about the invite to join your guys' team. I've been following you guys, as you know, since like last August and signed up for the paid group. And I'm thinking, this is good stuff. I like where you guys are going with this. So the invite was flattering, to say the least.
Yeah,
you're a beast.
Yeah. And we are going to spend a good portion of this show talking about Random Tasks strategy, and it's great. I think it's going to add a ton of value to all of you guys listening. So we will get into that towards the end of the show. But kicking things off from a news perspective, Big Daddy Coinbase has finalized their most recent round of funding, locking them in an $8 billion valuation, which is absolutely massive. And they're projecting $456 million of profit in 2018. Bear market say what? Jesus, guys. So what does this tell you? I mean, how bad can things be if a company's clearing $500 million in profit?
Well, it tells me people are watching what they're doing now, right? If you're thinking crypto is no good, no profit coming in, you're going to see those numbers and you're going to think, maybe we should get in on this. So it's definitely raising eyebrows.
Yeah.
What it tells me is that that they are accumulating more and more money, more and more power, and their product is based on cryptocurrencies. If they want to make a profit, eventually business exists out of a very important part, which is marketing. They will use that money for marketing, which eventually should bring the cryptosphere back into the picture. And it's not only Coinbase, but it's probably also Bakkt and RSX and others. But I think Kyle has a lot more to say about this fundraising.
Yeah, I mean, it's I think it shows a couple of things right off the bat. Is, if you just stare at charts all day, you might be like, well, where's the money? Like, there's no money flowing into the space. Is crypto dead? Which I think everyone here would argue against that. But what this shows is that capital is still flowing in at huge amounts. It's just going in different directions. It's approaching the space other than just accumulating the assets, right? So what I think you see here is Tiger Global Management was the one who led the Series E fundraise for Coinbase, which was a $300 million raise. And they have invested in a whole plethora of startups, technological startups in the past 10 years. I think what you're seeing through the creation of Bakkt Exchange and RSX and this Coinbase fundraise is that big institutional money is more interested right now in acquiring the quote unquote picks and shovels of this digital gold rush. They're positioning themselves so that they make money not only off of the long-term longevity of crypto, but also they're going to make money off of just people operating within the system, which is how institutional money, real big money, actually likes to play things. They want to be in charge of the supply and demand and the facilitating of an asset class more so than just the profitability of it. One other thing I want to expand on too is what Coinbase said they're going to do with this money is, of course, continue to expand globally, build infrastructure between fiat and crypto regulated markets. And then they also said that this money is going to help them offer more crypto assets. They said on their blog They want to see hundreds of cryptocurrencies that could be added to our platform, and are going to lay the groundwork to support thousands in the future. So Coinbase has been taking a very slow and precautionary approach to adding coins to their exchange, but you can see that their goal is to be a Binance competitor or a Bittrex competitor down the road once they know that they're fully litigated to do so. So I think this looks good. Once again, Coinbase is just showing that how powerful this space can be and how profitable it can be too. So all in all, bullish for the space.
Big news. It definitely is. So I know there's been also some talk of a Coinbase IPO. So for those who may not understand why a company would IPO or why Coinbase is going to hold off a little bit on that, Kyle, could you expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, so an IPO is just another method to raise funds, right? It's an initial public offering. Its younger brother is the ICO in the crypto space, right? But IPOs are historically more difficult to participate in. But what an IPO does is just another way to raise funds. But what it also does is it makes shares of a company, technically an equity ownership of the company, public. So a lot more people can participate, and it dilutes the original founders and owners and boards shares and decision-making power for a company, because there's so many other voters and parties involved with ownership of the company. So what they're doing right now is they're doing private fundraising, and they were able to, and this keeps their investor group and the equity owners of Coinbase small so that they can be more in control. I think this is what they're going for. They want to be more in control of their company's processes as it plays out, and then maybe they'll IPO in the future. But right now, if they're able to raise that kind of capital, an IPO is pretty much pointless, if not debilitating. So.
Awesome. I think that's a great explanation there. And, moving on, another really big story, and we're going to talk about mainstream media and their biases and how they convey and when they convey news. But today, one headline that caught my attention is the godfather of Ethereum ICOs wants to let investors take their money back. So total attention grabber there. But if you read the article, it talks about Fabian Vogelsteller, I apologize if I'm butchering that pronunciation there, proposed a reversible ICO or RICO that would allow token investors to take back their funds at any stage in that project's lifespan. So guys, what are your thoughts on this? I mean, this sounds to me like a can of worms that would be pretty problematic if it was opened.
It's difficult, I guess. There's a lot of ways to approach, transparent and responsible execution of any crypto project. And the issues I foresee with this solution is that people will take their money back at some certain kind of stage, and all of a sudden your whole business case, you're kind of, crashes to the ground. On the other hand, it kind of puts some motivation to the project team that they have to actually do well and perform well and meet their deadline. So in the same way, they have to be more responsible and deliver, otherwise their investors will be gone. So I kind of like the idea, but why first give them money and then take it back? There's also ICOs that do things on a milestone basis. For example, one ICO I like a lot is called Storecoin. I'm not going to tell much about Storecoin, but what they do is they have a runway for the next 8 years, and they say we're doing an ICO and we started in 2017, but we're going to do 10 stages of our ICO, and we eventually get to market by Q4 2019. And every time we reach a milestone, we're going to do 8% of our total supply in ICO again. So they're going to sell a bit more and a bit more. So basically, as your faith in the project grows, you can start increasing your exposure to the ICO based on what they are delivering. So they say, okay, well, for the first milestone, we only need 1 million. We reached it. See, this is great stuff. You want to participate in round 2. And then they have like round 3, 4, 5, 6. And I think that's a different approach. I think this eventually, what's his name? Vogelsteller?
Vogelsteller.
Vogelsteller.
Just call him Fabian.
Fabian, yeah. I think it's a good idea, but I think it would need some tweaking. I did not read the entire article, so I'm sorry if there were like parts in the article that actually addressed some of the things I mentioned. But
yeah, my biggest takeaway from the article is that he actually mentions that it would it would make scams unlikely. Which,
yeah, I think that's the issue that we're all running into for the last year, is that ICOs have been in the news in well, mostly in bad ways. Some have been in the news in good ways, but it's only been like 10 that really made huge profits. But a lot of these projects are just really scammy, or they don't perform well. So the space needs a way to deal with this. We need a way to know what's going on with our money, and that our money is being put to good use. So definitely the way ICOs are done right now, in the way like, all right, give us 50 million and we're gonna make some product in the future, is not gonna work on investors anymore. So they need to reinvent themselves. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm. So this for the RICO, can they can take back their funds at any stage of the product? Does that even mean post ICO?
Yeah, theoretically at any time.
So like it could be a year or two post ICO, and they could get the exact amount of Ethereum they contributed. Wow, that's wild.
It doesn't even really make sense to me, to be honest. How do you take that money as a project and spend it on infrastructure, and then where is it now? You can't give it back. So obviously this is just an idea, and there's a lot to iron out, but the whole thing doesn't seem feasible to me. Especially, it's like, oh, tokens down, I want my money back. Tokens up, I don't. Like, it would just be just doesn't make sense to me at all.
I mean, I'm with you, because I mean, you think about it. Why are you doing an ICO? You're doing an ICO to raise funds. If you can't use the funds that you're raising, then are you really just telling investors? Like, is Fabian right now saying that these projects are actually raising enough through VC, and that basically anything they're getting through an ICO is just a cash grab, and they don't really need that cash? They can just let it sit and give it back. To me, that's kind of what this sounds like. It sounds like someone who maybe unintentionally said more than he meant to say when he came out with this theory. But we'll see. I mean, maybe they flesh this thing out and it becomes a great idea. Obviously, if he developed the ERC-20, he knows things that I don't. So maybe there's something that I'm missing here.
I'd love to talk to him and ask him how he sees that working, because I don't get it.
Well, I would imagine that you have this entire pool of funds that you raised, and then you're going to start spending, and you're going to be transparent about it, and the amount of funds are gonna the value of the funds is going to decline, because you're selling, because you're investing. So I would assume that by the time someone says, I want to get my money out, there's going to be relatively to what's left and their participation on the whole pool. But yeah.
I mean, we've heard some hints of this, right, with like token buybacks and stuff like that. I know one of the projects I've been following, DAO Stack, their ICO dumped like crazy. We'll talk about that later. And there's all this talk about, are you guys going to buy back the tokens? I mean, I've always just kind of eye rolled at that. It's like, I invested and I lost money. I want it. I don't want to lose it.
Right.
It just kind of, it stinks of sort of that market we're dealing with, which is a lot of new investors who are going big because somebody had it on their spreadsheet, and they signed the disclaimer, and now they want to go back. So a little bit skepticism on my part from all that.
So, one thing, moving on, I know we want to get into a lot of different alts that we're looking at regarding this wrecked ICO theory, which I'm excited for you to share with everyone, RT. But one thing that we got to talk about before, because today is the day, it is Bitcoin's 10th birthday. So happy 10th birthday, Bitcoin.
Happy birthday.
Yes.
Volatile son of a bitch.
Double digits.
So go ahead, man.
Wait, I just want to say, Whitney, I appreciate you. Let me have this as a segment today. I know we were, but like for me, this is what I get all passionate and sentimental about, because I'm not necessarily a Bitcoin maximalist, but I just kind of love the way that this space originated. And today was actually when Satoshi Nakamoto sent out his original white paper for Bitcoin. The Genesis block for Bitcoin came out on January 3rd, 2009, but today is the day where he actually shared the idea. And it's like, I mean, this is insane. 10 years later, like we're all here and our careers are committed to this space, and that started, you know, just a short time ago. And I think one thing that's important to understand, and it's pretty simple once you can understand the timing of things, but it's really another ingenious part of the creation of this space, is the fact that this white paper came out, and actually the Genesis block for Bitcoin occurred on the largest single day drop in the Case-Shiller Home Index, which is basically the index fund that follows the housing market in the United States. So 2008, 2009, I wasn't a adult at that point, but I know my parents were, and a lot of other people were extremely affected by the bear market and just the mismanagement of money and debt that occurred at that time, and lost so many people, their capital and their investments and their retirement funds and stuff like that. And so Bitcoin came out right when humanity needed it most. Honestly, it needed an alternative currency, one that couldn't be manipulated and disfigured. And so that for me is why I got in the space, because I understood it right away, and then I also saw the profitability, and that's why I'm here. So just, it's cool that this is 10 years, and I think the next 10 years are going to blow us out of the water too. So.
Yeah, it's a day like today that I start reflecting a little bit on just what got me into all this, right? And I think I was primed for the idea of it, just with my current understanding of the whole system and watching that, you know, USA debt clock fire up 21 trillion, 22 trillion. And I just sit there like, who thinks that this is sustainable? And I'm not calling for a replacement world currency. I'm not going to say I'm on that boat, but, you know, 10-year anniversary, what a day to think back on exactly where you were when you first heard about it and how you got in. For me, it was a Joe Rogan podcast, and someone said, check it out. And I was like, cool. I looked it up on Google, and then that day's was Anton Antonopoulos coming on, and it was the top, you know, whatever. So I just listened to it, and here we are. So
I don't like to think back to the day I first heard of Bitcoin, because I think it was 2010 or 2011. I was pretty busy with my life. Things were pretty rough, so I didn't really have time to really focus any attention to it. So it was brought to me by a few friends, and they said like, yeah, maybe this is interesting. And I actually never even ended up like really looking up what it was, except for that it was some kind of peer-to-peer currency. And I was like, well, yeah, we'll see if that takes off later. And then, bam, it did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's true, man.
Yeah, I'm kind of thankful, to be honest, that I wasn't around thinking about buying it at 10 cents or $1. Like, that'd be almost more stressful than having just missed it and just work on it now, right?
Well, I mean, everyone wants to say that they would have bought it at $1 and held it to 20,000, but I mean, in reality, you would have sold it at 100x or 1,000.
Yeah. No, I'm selling on that drop to 200 after the 1,000. I'm out.
Yeah, maybe I would have been one of the guys who bought a pizza with it. I remember support with our local food distributor, like delivery. I think it was 2012 when they started to accept Bitcoin. So it is one of those stories that a friend of mine who literally, I mean, the pizza story is kind of old, but he's one of the guys who had a pizza story. He found back like, I don't know, like 300 Bitcoin on some stupid wallet.
Wow.
Like a year ago. He sold it before the last bull run.
Good for him.
Oh, shit.
So Bitcoin doing its thing. We're going to talk about a little bit of a Bitcoin analysis. If you guys want to go ahead and bring up the charts and run through that. Kyle, are you doing it today, or Ronnie, do you have one?
Ronnie, you got it?
A chart on Bitcoin? Sure.
Yeah.
I was kind of doing two things at once, but let's jump into Bitcoin. There has not been a lot of change to Bitcoin. We kind of dropped into the 6,200 zone that we discussed on the last podcast, which we bounced off of. And if we can have some consolidation here, I think there is a fair chance we're going to go upside. For me, it's going to be really important to hold the 6K level. Otherwise, I'm not really sure about a long. So any longs here, definitely stop loss below 6K. I had a little chart here earlier that I wanted to share with you. This little chart. So let's see. Yeah. So what Bitcoin is forming here is a so-called compound fulcrum bottom. This is pretty much a kind of head and shoulders that happens on a bottom, and these don't occur that often. If like the occurrences that I have been able to find in history on Bitcoin are non-existent, and when I go look on stock exchanges and stocks, I found a few historical situations. And for this pattern to play out, if it's a bullish pattern, we need to break 6,800. But if we break 6,800, it's a fairly significant increase of chance to complete our bottom and see some significant upside to 7,400 and perhaps even further, because there's two fulcrum bottoms that are intertwined. It's like a fulcrum compound fulcrum inception bottom. So that's interesting to have a look at. One thing I really like about how this pattern has formed itself is the fact that it's the neckline is sloping upwards slightly, and from the occurrences that I have found on stock exchanges, on stocks, I mean, the ones that had a sloping upwards neckline, actually pretty much 90% of them broke out upwards. So I'm going to continue follow that. I would say this pattern is invalidated if we drop below $5,750. I think that's it for Bitcoin.
Anything you wanted to add there, Kyle? How are you guys playing it right now? Do you guys have longs in, shorts in?
Yeah, well, we should we talk about that, or should we just keep that to our
yeah, I mean, we can keep it. I think we're looking for an area to long here. Actually, believe it, so the price is at 62. It just hit a low of 62.41. So we'll see where it goes from here. But yeah, we're looking along. I think that me and Ronnie and RT have all kind of discussed that we think things look at least short-term bullish is a good risk-reward spot too long. And then I had never heard of the double fulcrum bottom, but that just made me pretty excited. So I hope you're right, Ronnie's
double inception fulcrum bottom.
Double inception fulcrum bottom. All right, there we go.
Yeah, I'm looking at this.
Baby.
I've also never heard of this double fulcrum bottom until this morning, but I'm just looking at here. I'll see if I can get a share here. So we've just taken a nice little dump now. This is the new range that I've got outlined. I'm expecting we to bounce here. If you're into the little day scalps, there's your little long spot. But we'll see how this plays out going forward. I've got this trend line here that I just, that's sort of for me a daily close below that, and I'm just going to probably tighten up and not necessarily short, but definitely sideline a little bit.
Yeah, I actually don't hold any Bitcoin right now. I'm just 1,000% in alts. So.
Oh, there you go.
That's a joke.
I definitely want to keep an eye on that line.
So if there's nothing else that you guys want to talk about with regards to Bitcoin, I do want to devote a good portion of today's show to RT's theory of wrecked ICOs. Are we ready to get into those?
Yeah. Did you want to touch on Dragon Pearl or anything like that? Or
yeah, we definitely need to do that.
We do.
So first, I know we wanted to talk about Pearl. There's been a lot of news surrounding Pearl, and we mentioned Pearl on this show. Took it up for a considerable run. But Kyle, do you have any information on what's going on kind of behind the scenes there?
Yeah, absolutely. So what occurred basically is that there was an original anonymous founder of the Oyster blockchain, the person who put everything in motion. And he brought on a whole cast of C-suite executives to help him run and grow Oyster. And essentially what it looks like to us from the outside looking in is this original anonymous founder named Bruno had kind of disagreed with where the company and where the community was being taken by these people that he brought in actually. And so I think that what he must have done, and I think he's actually a pretty savvy guy when it comes to blockchain engineering, he created a loophole when he started the blockchain. And I think it was a fail-safe for himself where he knew that if things got out of his control or didn't go his way, then he was actually able to essentially ruin everyone's day. My personal take on this Bruno guy is that he's an asshole. And what he decided to do was basically create a second ICO. So he was actually able to create more Pearl and Oyster tokens out of thin air, essentially giving him right to create a bunch of money out of thin air and then go sell it to a bunch of unknowing people that had their bids on KuCoin. So he got away with $350,000, and I hope that he understands that he probably ruined a lot of people's days, weeks, or potentially entire portfolios. And I hope he's happy with kind of what he did there, because frankly, I don't know if Oyster or Pearl's ever going to come back, but I have met some members of the team, and I think they're really good businessmen and women, and they're good people, and they put a lot of time and effort into it. It's a good project, but at this point, it might be difficult for them to bring back their reputation, because this guy basically decided that since it couldn't go his way, it couldn't go anybody's way, and he kind of destroyed the blockchain. So we'll see. There's more news to come out on that. I think that the team is going to rally. The team, not Bruno, not the anonymous founder, but the actual team is going to rally and try and turn things around. So we'll keep you guys updated on that once more news comes out from their team.
Absolutely, and the initial reports are that there may be a fork from the block before all of this occurred. So we will keep you guys posted on that. But on another note, some bullish news for a favorite project, Dragon Chain. So kicking it over to you, Max. Go ahead. What do we got?
Yeah. So Dragon Chain, long-term favorite. Bravado participated in the ICO. It did an 80x, ridiculous. It then dropped 98%. So a lot of people got wrecked on it as well. There's a large backholding community to it. The thing what Dragon Chain has been holding back to get listed on exchanges because, well, there's several theories. What they tell the general public is that they don't want to ask for listings, because asking for listings may eventually, if it turns out to be not in line with security laws. So to be on the safe side, on the regulatory compliance side, they've always decided not to approach exchanges to get a listing. So I was kind of getting sad because they didn't get listed, but now they won the community vote on ETHFinex and Bitfinex. So they will list on Bitfinex tomorrow, November 1st. And it's probably the first really somewhat bigger legitimate exchange that has been around for the last 5 to 6 years that Dragon Chain gets a listing on. So I'm really happy that we finally get some action, hopefully, on Dragon Chain.
I mean, and Bitfinex is 175 million in 24-hour volume. So that'll be nice compared to, KuCoin, which is at 28 million. So nice bump in volume there for sure. So wait, being on Bitfinex, can you now margin with Dragon? Will you be able to?
Not necessarily. There's a lot of alts on there that do not have it. In fact, I think there's a certain, I wouldn't know what the exact cutoff, but only top alts get the margin option.
Yeah, I guess there's
I tried along with you.
I think there's a liquidity issue that needs to be solved for margin trading. So I don't think so. We're not even getting a BTC pair on Dragon Chain. We're gonna get a USD pair and an Ethereum pair, but no BTC pair for now.
Interesting. Well, it'll be exciting to see how that all pans out. So, for the last 15, 20 minutes here, what I really want us to do is dig into Random Tasks' wrecked ICO theory. So I'm going to pass it over to him. If you want to just give a quick rundown of how you formulated all of this and what you're looking for, take it away, man. Floor is yours.
Sure. Just a quick heads up. I just figured out that if I don't mute myself while y'all are talking, every time I clear my throat, the camera comes back to me. So if you're wondering why that keeps happening, there you go. First time on Hangouts. Okay, so I've got this idea, and I'm really tired of buying stuff that's already pumped up, or there's all these people ready to sell if Bitcoin does so and so. So what I was thinking is, find a coin, find tokens that there are no sellers left. And I know that's an absurd notion because there's always someone left to sell, you would think. But what I noticed is that a lot of these ICOs coming out in the bear market never had a chance. You know, they get like maybe a 30% little pump right out of the gates for people who missed the ICO and they think it's going to be something. And then you get the flippers and they sell it. And then you get the flippers who missed that sell and now they're dumping. And it just bottoms until there's no one left, in my opinion, in some of these cases where they're just thinking, okay, if you're down 90%, I don't care what Bitcoin does, you're not selling. You know, if you're down 90% on your 10K you put in, you know, what are you going to sell for 1,000 just because Bitcoin takes another dump? Like, so in my mind, we're seeing some fairly safe bottoms, and these are in tokens that arguably are very strong, you know, came out in the right market, and maybe they're running up 10, 20, 80x like Icon and a few others did. So I set out to hash out this idea and see if I can pull up a few examples of ones that have already worked.
And just to jump in here, I mean, this is something that, you know, when you put it down in writing, it's how I've approached trading for the past 6 months or so, and it's been incredibly profitable. And I know we're going to go through and show a few examples of charts and how you're reading them from a TA perspective. But it was intriguing to see you post this theory when you initially posted it, because I think there are a lot of people out there, especially people that are listening to this show, that right now you're seeing all of these alts pump. You're seeing, you know, random green dildos here and there, and you may be like stuck in FOMO mode where you're seeing something pump and then you're jumping in after the fact. Here, with a sound strategy, and this is, in my opinion, a sound strategy, you're able to get out in front of it, right? You're able to get out in front and see, okay, what could come next? That way you're in before FOMO and you don't have to worry about really not only missing the trade, but potentially buying a top.
Exactly. And you know, there's a difference between waiting for a confirmation of a bottom and a reversal, and then also like buying that first breakout at 40% and then losing it right away. So the thing that actually got me thinking about this was an ICO I was in that got completely wrecked despite how bullish I was on it, and that's Zero Chain. And that thing came out and just tanked. I mean, it went down, I'd say, from about $1.12 ICO, it was down around 9 cents. And this is the first time that I really went heavy with the dollar cost average. I was so excited about the project. I decided, so all August, you know, no volume, July, August, I'm setting orders and just scooping it up as much as I can. I mean, that bag is up 225% now. And I'm sitting there going, that worked well. What else could we do? So that's sort of what started this idea. You know, another one here did really poorly out of the gates. Jen from DAOstack dropped, and you know, you're seeing that same kind of climb back. Again, these are not ones I would say, you know, run and buy now. They're past their bottom. You know, who knows beyond this, but just some examples of sort of, hey, look, this is the idea working. You know, you've got PAL here. That I know is one of your guys, Jack's favorite, but you know, you get this double bottom put in, and then we're just chilling along, and then, you know, boom, gets a nice movement upwards. Probably going to see a retrace there. So with that said, these are some of the ones that this has already been happening. So now, you know, what are we looking at now? Well, the criteria that I've got in my trade thread here in the Discord basically says, let me just pull that up so I can sort of describe exactly the criteria I'm looking at. ICO I'm looking at needs to have been held sometime between February and July. So we want something that came out right in the bear. Token price has dumped considerably, at least 80% below ICO versus ETH, right? All of them are down versus USD because of the market. So you want to look for ones that are down, way down versus ETH. Project needs to have good fundamentals, right? There's a lot of shit coins that came out. We're not trying to buy those. I don't care how low they are. We want something that is arguably very strong. So I'm going through those this last week or so, vetting some of them. At least 1 or 2 decent exchanges, ideally. We're looking at KuCoin, Huobi, Bitfinex, things like that. You know, if it's just IDEX, not too bad. I actually really like IDEX, but it's nice when you get a little bit of traction for US investors like KuCoin, despite its low volume. And then, so look, you get 25 that fit that first bit of criteria. Now you want to narrow it down to the 10 that maybe have a catalyst coming up, mainnet launch, big partnerships that are under NDA that are coming up, an announcement, right? Zero Chain had a few of those. They were like, yeah, we got partners lined up. We're going to announce them. And then all of a sudden, boom, AWS and Oracle, and that's where we just saw that more recent push. So now narrowing it down to ones that have catalysts coming up soon. And then the biggest one, and this is what I wanted to talk a little bit about today, is bullish structure on the chart. And so what I'm looking at as a main indicator for reversal is a W forming on the daily, okay, or weekly, because it is very easy. And I'll show, that's not the one. Let's see TKY. Okay, TKY ISO in February. It's come down. That's the 4 hour. Let's get the daily up here. So look, we've got the dump. And then it's hanging out. Oh, it might be the bottom. No, more dump. And now here you see a W trying to form. Goes back down. Does not clear this line here. So that's a failed bottom. We got more dump. So now we've got this. This is actually a really nice little cup and handle looking thing coming up here. But as you see, the bottom is in. Comes back down. Now, if it breaks above here, to me, there's your confirmed bottom. I'm more comfortable entering now.
So for anyone that's listening on the podcast, what are the Satoshi values there at that you're mentioning?
For TKY here?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it touched down to around 50, and it ranged around 50 to 65 sats, I'd say, for about 2 months. And so that's arguably a bottom. But again, we hadn't seen any sign of reversal. It was just waiting. So for me, I don't want to buy something that's flatlined and then maybe you're waiting a month, 6 months, and you're missing opportunities. So I'd like to wait. You give up a little bit of gain, but you that's a trade-off for risk. And so now you've got your cup and handle just right at the neck here. If this breaks out, I'm looking to buy on a retest, back down onto that line, and now we've got our confirmed exit. So that's for TKY, which is a decent project. So on another hand here, you've got EDN, Eden Chain. Don't know much about it. I have not vetted it, but it's on my list. And here, I would say we are not confirmed yet, right? So you see this, it's hanging out back and forth around 360 to 400 sat. Anyone buying there thinking, oh, it's gone down so much, well, there's your drop. But we hadn't seen the reversal confirmed. And so sure enough, dropped almost 50% from there. So anyone who's thinking about looking into this or trying it out, just make sure you see really clear signs of bullish reversal, because if you do not, you are catching daggers and you're holding bags, and that is not the point of this whole game we play, right? So another look at EDN, a little more zoomed in. It might be forming a bottom here, but we're not seeing the push back up, and definitely not seeing any W's, so to speak. So we'll be waiting for that one.
And for those of you just tuning in, again, this is Crypto Live with Bitcoin Bravado. Thank you so much for those of you who continue to show us love. We are right now talking about random tasks, wrecked ICO theory, which has proven to be pretty profitable. Covered a few that actually have done very well in PAL and ZCN. Now talking about a few charts that are forming those double bottoms, those W's.
Oh yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, man.
Okay, so here's the two I'm actually looking at, and I'm thinking about putting out a play on these. So we've got OLT, which is one ledger, which I actually do remember hearing about the ICO. I didn't join into that one. I was kind of stretched out around that time. But as you can see, same thing, comes out, dumps, no news, no project manager left. Like this is just bear market dump for no good reason. And now we're seeing price discovery down below. Just sort of a battle down here. And I would argue that we've just put in our W. We've got our double bottom, actually a perfect double bottom at 100 sats for OLT on KuCoin. And now we're seeing, there it is, doubled. So, I mean, this one to me fits the criteria. I would like to see a little more volume. We've got sort of a, pushed up a volume here, even though the price stayed flat. That's bullish to me. So I actually did go out and get a little bit of OLT last week when I started this idea, just to get my sort of foot in the door. But I haven't put out a call just yet. I'm sort of waiting to see how this volume develops. The other one that fits really well is T-Food. T-Food, again, you see that push up you get a lot of times when they first launch, sort of a double top put in here, drops, big dump throughout the summer. another big dump, and now we're seeing the bottom form with volume. Yeah, to me, this is a nice, you get that nice W structure along the bottom. It's not going below here, in my opinion, in any time short, near future. Again, even if Bitcoin dumps here, where's your sellers, right? You might get some guys selling who just bought up here, but for the most part, these ICO holders here, I think they're looking for at least back to ICO price. And so that's the last thing I'll say here is the nice thing about this play is that in many cases, I think you're going to get a nice chance of getting back up to ICO price, which in some cases here is 500%. So you're risking against that old bottom that we just formed, maybe risking 20, 25%. That's not a small amount, but you're looking at 5, 6, 7, 800% in some of these cases just to get to ICO price, which is where a lot of people will be looking to take their loss or, flip it back. So yeah, I like TFD. That's one of the few that I vetted so far. They just had like an interview with the UN, something about their food distribution. They've already got 6,000 businesses using their platform for food distribution tracking. And some kind of flag here. I'm not too familiar with that stuff, but
RT, do you take requests from our viewers?
I have been, yeah. So I set this up as sort of an Easter egg hunt in my trade channel so that other people could see, okay, here's our list of criteria. And if they know one, add it to the list. Shout out to Bitcoin Broski, threw us a few nice ones here. And one of our other users, if I find his name, Kasi Mopiu, he DM'd me the other day and added in P Chain, True Chain, Eden Chain, and Yeed.
Well, there's a request from the community to have a look at card stack, not from the fundamental side, but from a charting perspective. So if you have any chance to pull that up, that would be great.
Yeah, what's our ticker? You mean like live right now? I'm happy to.
Live.
C-A-R-D.
Pardon?
Card. C-A-R-D.
Okay. Let's see.
You're probably gonna have to go to coinsignals.trade.
Okay, yeah, it's not on Coinigy.
There we go.
Look, I already have it up. Okay.
Card stack.
All right. Okay, there you go. So that's fit. Chart wise, that would fit right along with what we were just talking about, right? You've got your big dump. Let's see, what are our dates here? Looks like August, so very new, just in early July. Same thing, right? It comes out, get that big push up, people who missed the ICO, and then the flippers, boom, panic flippers. Oh no, bad flip, dump to the bottom. And it looks like we formed a nice little bottom here. So what is missing? There is something missing here. What is it? What do you think? It's the volume. We're not getting any real sign of volume. As part of a good reversal, you want to see, big buys coming in. I don't see any of that yet.
It's not bad though. It's about 500,000 in volume on a super small cap. So I would not
market cap on that.
Okay.
It's probably around 4 or 5 million, I think. I just looked it up when the request came in.
500,000 is actually pretty good volume on a low cap. It's not shown in the bars here. I guess it's all relative, but so we'd be looking for something to stand out here. But yeah, I don't mind this chart at all for.
Yeah, and there's quite a few plays like this. Obviously, right now, everything has spent the last couple of months, if it's a legit project, bottoming out for the most part. So there are a lot of charts that look very similar to this. It's just about finding those and doing what you can to apply any edges that are out there. One that I know we were going to discuss a little bit on this show is Midas Protocol, MAS. So if you want to bring that chart up, we can cover that here in the last couple of minutes, because this is a project that it's new, right? It's recently released. I believe tokens were released within the last 8 to 10 weeks, if not sooner. But the project itself is solid. They've got their beta coming out Q4. Volume has been great on IDEX. This is a smaller cap, so liquidity is of course not the greatest right now. But when you're looking at projects in line with what we're talking about right now, a lot of it is about patience. So Midas is a $4 million market cap, $241,000 of daily volume. So what is the chart looking like on your end?
I just pulled it up. It's really hard to say, like, when these new coins are still in price discovery. We're seeing the same thing that RT was discussing. You know, it got listed, it pumped, and then it started to come down. We don't really know what the price was doing before it got listed. Usually, CoinMarketCap is not, when it comes to CoinMarketCap, it's not actually the moment it got listed. So it may have been listed somewhere, but CoinMarketCap didn't record the price action before those days. So currently the price sits at 200. Is that, yeah, 246 Satoshis. And I really don't know what happened before it did pump all the way to 440 Satoshis. What I am seeing though is a reversal candle. This is an inverted hammer. Usually inverted hammers can be a signal that we're going to go up, but I want to see a lot more than just a single reversal candle on this. So what I really want to see is some new volume. And but I think the risk reward is pretty good here, because the price currently at 246 Satoshis, and I would definitely have a stop loss, maybe like 235, and get an entry around 240 to 245. So the stop loss would be pretty tight if the exchange would provide a stop loss. And if it does get some traction, there's not going to be a lot of resistance until we actually get to the 300, like the 280 to 300 Satoshi areas. But no, it's difficult to say. It definitely does not match it. It does not match the strategy that RT was talking about.
There you go. Yeah. So wait and see on Midas.
That's the nice thing about this idea, is that there were so many ICOs. So there are a number of coins that fit this criteria. And if you stay fairly indifferent to which one you like and you don't fall in love, you know, you can find 10, and let's say you put in, you know, 5% into each one, or whatever, pick your risk management. And you really just need, I'd say, 4 or 5 of them to get back to ICO price, and the other 5 can completely dump into your stop loss and you're good. So I'd say no rush, right? If you're seeing that nice little reverse hammer, you know, wait for it to W out while you look at some of these other ones that have already gotten there, that have the volume and they're showing a little bit more of a bullish reversal.
So, you know, I think that's a good note for us to wrap things up on today. You know, ultimately, we still remain bullish, long-term on crypto. Short-term right now, the outlook is great as well. The only thing that we're a little bit bearish on is the fact that none of us are in Vegas with everyone else that's having a good time this week. But we do wish all of you that are out there for World CryptoCon a safe and fun trip. I'm sure it's going to be a blast. The photos and videos are going to be epic. Those of you who continue to tune in and support us, thank you so much. We appreciate you jumping on here with us today. And we will be back on Friday at our normal time. Am I correct in saying that, Kyle?
Most likely our normal time.
Okay. And Friday, we are going to be doing a pretty detailed analysis of mainstream media and how it enjoys to completely screw the pooch when it comes to all things cryptocurrency. So feel free to tune in. We're going to have a lot of fun there. Thank you guys for joining me today on this call. Random Task, thank you for jumping on, man. It was great to have you. Thanks for sharing your thoughts.
Yeah, absolutely. And I look forward to coming back again.
All right, fam. Well, until Friday, we will see you later.
Take care.
Take care, bros.